Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the WCPO High School Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Dyer. Week 10 of the high school football season, 1 week away from the postseason beginning. Hey, make sure you check out my story on WCPO.com this week about Anderson senior quarterback Griffin Scaff. Does some volunteerism there every Friday at Air Elementary School, helping some of the youngsters there in a third grade class. That is a story I have on WCPO.com right now. Also, this Friday night, be sure to follow my coverage all weekend as we have the unofficial playoff projections going to get started here on Friday night. As Joe Idle, everybody's going to be glued to his website as we check out what the first round matchups may be leading into Sunday's announcement of the playoff pairings. So be sure to check that out. Our WCPO football game of the week is a pair of undefeated teams. Undefeated Wyoming at 9-0 at 9-0 Madeira on Friday night. A little bit later on, you're going to hear from Madeira coach Chris Stewart about this matchup for the CHL title. It's very exciting times there for both those programs. Speaking of championships, you're also going to hear from Gamble Montessori coach Rob Rachel as the Gators clinched the Cincinnati Metro Athletic Conference Blue Division title last week with a big win over Dayton Christian. It's the first conference championship in program history there for the Gators. And then Withrow coach Kylie Jones is going to check in about the Tigers. They've won 5 consecutive games. They play host to Hughes on Friday night, an opportunity for Withrow to win the CMAC Red Division title outright for the first time since the 2013 season. But first, one last look at our Week 9 game of the week, which saw Highlands rally to defeat Covington Catholic in the fourth quarter by the final score of 32-21. It was the first win for the Bluebirds over Covcath since November of 2015. Believe it or not, it snapped Covcath's 9-game win streak in this rivalry series. I had a chance to catch up with Highlands coach Bob Spire after the game, and he described how special this victory was.
You know, I'm so happy for this community, this program, the people that have supported this program over the last several years and for years and years and years. But I'm especially happy for this group of players that have really had a lot of weight on their shoulders. And the work that they put in and the way they showed who they are versus what everybody thought they were when we kicked it off down in Western Kentucky, and it just didn't go well. But that's who this team is. And, you know, they fought through adversity, some of it their own. But adversity is no longer the master of this program. And it was when I got here. It is no longer the master of this football program.
Quite a turnaround for the Highlands program. Obviously 5-6 in Coach Spire's first season there in Fort Thomas last season. And now here they are with an opportunity to make a deep run in the playoffs. This is the 50th win in the rivalry against Covington Catholic for the Bluebirds. And each of these two teams, they could face each other in the Class 5A playoffs. It remains to be seen how that shakes out. Highlands plays host to Cooper this Friday, while Covcath plays host to Connor. So definitely going to keep an eye on Northern Kentucky as it concludes its regular season next week as well. But before I go any further, I want to remind you this High School Insider podcast is presented by our local Chick-fil-A restaurants, where the winning play is always chicken. Start your day tomorrow with a fresh, warm breakfast. Now I'm going to switch gears to Ohio, and the Gamble Montessori football team clinched its first conference championship in program history last week with a 20-13 win over Dayton Christian. Now 6-3, Gamble won the CMAC Blue Division, and they are likely playoff bound as they play host to Riverview East this Friday night at Western Hills. And now I'm pleased to be joined by head coach Rob Rachel and a couple of his players as the Gators get ready to host this regular season finale this Friday night at West High. And Coach, tell me a little bit about what this conference title means to the Gators there on Work Road.
You know, it means a lot. Been here since 2015, and the goal every year is to win the league championship and go to the playoffs. You know, my first couple years, we had opportunities and we came up short. Then we had a down year, probably about 2 or 3 years of rebuilding. And then, you know, the last couple of years, you know, I've had some pretty solid kids, and that was the goal. Last year we came up short against CCPA, but this year, you know, we got over that hump, and we beat CCPA. Then we went to Dayton Christian last Friday, and we won that game. So now we're league champs.
20-13.
Very proud of them.
Sorry, Coach. 20-13 victory over Dayton Christian. The Gators have won 4 consecutive games. Play Riverview East at Western Hills, 7 o'clock Friday, Week 10. And right now, Gamble Montessori is number 12 in the Division 5 Region 20 computer point standings by Joe Idle. So, Coach, what's your message to the guys? Week 10, obviously, you win. Obviously, you improve your standing there in the region. What's kind of the message as you go forward here, the regular season finale?
So like I told the guys Friday, enjoy the championship, celebrate all weekend. But come, Monday at 4:00 at practice, it's focused strictly on Friday night at Riverview East. So we need to get focused, we get laser focused and get dialed in, learn the scheme, learn your jobs, do your jobs, and we'll be fine on Friday night.
Brent, I want to bring you into the conversation here. You rushed for 276 yards and 3 touchdowns over Riverview East. Tell me, what was the feeling like compiling those stats and then, more importantly, propelling your team to a CMAC Blue title?
It was crazy. Really, I went into the game with the mindset of, I just want to help the team win. I go into the game with that mindset every game. I just want to help the team win. I'm just glad I could have been a big contributor to the victory.
Tell me, what was that celebration like? Pouring the water cooler over Coach's head.
It was crazy because knowing he been at this school for ages and we were the first team in history to ever win it. It was a lot. The celebration was crazy.
Desmond, what did that mean to the team? I mean, Friday night, what was that feeling like, the feeling of euphoria?
It was unimaginable, This program has just been going up and up and up. We just keep getting better and better every year. I love it. It was amazing. You
have 54 tackles and 14 sacks on this season. What's been the biggest key just among your teammates? I mean, and maybe following Coach's lead. I mean, what's the vibe around this team, I guess, day to day?
Oh, man, the energy is high. Coach, he puts in a scheme. We go to practice, work on it every single day. We go out there, we go play, and we just dominate and show out.
How much
I love it. I'm sorry,
Desmond. How much does this program mean to Coach? You guys have been with him since your 7th grade year. I mean, can you describe that?
Man, we done been through some things, man. We didn't even see Coach break down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Man, we done put the blood, sweat, and tears into this team and this program for the last 2 years straight. And I just see us going up even more.
Coach, can you illustrate those blood, sweat, and tears for those who are outside the program? I mean, maybe give us a synopsis of how much this meant to you, maybe what you told the team after the game on Friday as well.
Particularly this group of kids, they had to deal with a lot of obstacles. Their 9th grade year, COVID, and then, their 10th grade year, semi-COVID. So we really couldn't play a bunch of games. But coming into, Brent and Desmond's junior year, we said, hey, you know what, we can finally just get a full season going. And, we set goals. We worked hard in the off season, and now we're league champs because, they follow my lead. They listen to me, and they believe everything I tell them, because they know I'm not going to lie to them. I'm a straight shooter. I'm not going to, sugarcoat anything to them, and I tell them if we show up and we work hard, there's a good chance that we're going to be successful. If we don't show up and we don't work hard, our goals won't be met. So for the last, since June, that's what these guys have been doing, and I'm so extra proud of them.
What's this program meant to you, Coach? Because you mentioned the adversity, the obstacles, but you stuck with it, and then now you see the fruits of your labor, obviously. Can you tell me what Gamble Montessori football means to you?
It means a lot to me. I coached Pee Wee football for about 10 years. I won a ton of, Little League Super Bowls. But, I started coaching high school at Northwest. I was there for a few years. Then the Gamble job came up, and I said, you know what? I want to go test the waters of being a high school coach, to really see how good I am. We don't have a lot of talent, but I have a bunch of kids that will work hard. And I believe, when kids work hard, that's going to overtake the talent. And this season and last season and next season, that's going to be the constant message. Just work hard every day. And if you do that, we will be successful.
How much have they bought into that message?
Oh, every day. They hear it every day. They hear it every day. They even say it to each other. Quite frankly, I think they're tired of me saying it to them, but I'm going to keep drilling it in them every day. Every day. It's drilled in them from the time they wake up, come to school, come to practice. It's hard work in the classroom, outside the classroom, in the community, because that builds great young men.
Brent, what's it like to live out that expectation that Coach just mentioned?
Live about it, you just kind of just got to do it, you know what I'm saying? From day one, since I've been at the school, I just knew he had my back always. So I feel like he can never do me no wrong. So following what he say, that's the least I can do.
What was Coach's post-game speech like?
Post-game speech, and he was standing in the middle of the field. He just looked up at the sky and was like, I don't know how to feel right now. This is crazy. His eyes started watering up a little bit. His eyes started watering up a little bit. But all I wanted to do was pat him on the back and say, we got your back, Coach. So, yeah.
Coach, can you talk about each one of these guys? You want to start with Brent, what he's meant to the team this season, not only stats-wise, but just everything throughout his career.
I'm going to start with Brent. Brent don't care about stats. Brent will do whatever I ask him to do. If I need Brent to, play defense, he'll play defense. He's a great defensive player as well as an offensive player. But, of course, everybody knows that we're running the wing team. And you're going to see Brent Thompson and Deion Coulter. Those are two guys that you're going to see. And even their backups are pretty good. So, Brent, he's a hard worker, blue-collar worker. He brings his lunch pail to practice, and he also brings it on game day. If it's power, he gonna get 4 yards. And in the first quarter, it might not look pretty, but the second quarter, it starts to look pretty good. Then the third quarter, it looks amazing. And then the fourth quarter is awesome because they do not want to tackle that young man in the fourth quarter. I mean, he's 6 foot 210, and he's very strong. But Brent has meant a lot to me since the first day that he's walked in the building. He's always been a yes sir, no sir type of kid. And he does whatever the coaches ask. Desmond, same thing. I don't watch Desmond since he was playing at Hilltop. He went to a Montessori school, so he came to Gamble. And Desmond the same way. Yes or no, so hard worker. Doesn't take his opponents lightly, and he plays extremely hard every down. So both of them is like a reflection of me. I'm a hard coach to play for. I coach hard, and I expect my kids to play hard. And that's what these guys have been doing ever since they've been here at Gamble. But not just them, the whole entire team.
I know Desmond and Brent are only juniors, but is there any doubt in your mind they're going to be playing at the next level?
Oh, ain't no doubt in my mind. These guys can play at any school, any high school in this country. And I think both of these guys are D1 caliber football players. So, yeah, I'll be going on Saturday mornings to watch Brent and Desmond play football somewhere.
Can you talk about some of the other players? I know you have a lot of contributors to this team, obviously. First off, I'm going to talk about that O-line because if the O-line didn't buy in, Brent wouldn't have 1,300 yards, 19 touchdowns. And Desmond is a key contributor. Desmond plays center. Desmond plays both sides of the ball, and he make all the line calls. Desmond does a great job of getting the other linemen together. We got Jalen Shear. We got a couple freshmen, Chase Mack, Jaden Marbury, Ryan Beringhouse. Those guys just come to work. And, they don't get a lot of applause or pats on the back, but, we make sure in practice, that we get them a little love sometimes, So,
just so Brent can keep on running, him and Deion Coulter and, Tayron Patterson, Ricky Tramble. I could just keep going down the line. And the good thing is I get these kids for another year because they all juniors.
Gotcha.
All juniors.
Desmond, how long you been playing center?
Actually, since I've been 4 years old, since I first started playing football ever. I used to feel some type of way about the position because growing up, I always wanted to be like, one of the skilled guys until I realized when I got into high school and I just like being a lineman, being a dog, being in them trenches. It just was made for me because I was born in the trenches. You know what I'm saying? From 4 years old, man, they threw me in the trenches my first ever time, and I was dominating. So after that, they knew where I was going to be. I knew where I was going to be.
Do you have a preference? Do you like playing defense more?
I love playing defense.
Yeah.
I love playing defense. Defense is my specialty. But me being a center, long snapper, and stuff like that, that's also another one of my specialties, especially because I've been doing this since before. So I love both positions very much. I've grown into that center position.
Coach kind of alluded to the fact of the expectation. He's a tough coach to play for. Desmond, can you talk about just how Gamble Montessori, maybe as a school, not just athletically, is preparing you for life and maybe playing into the next level as well?
Oh yeah, man. The teachers, the staff, they're making us grown men and women. You know what I'm saying? They're preparing us for this outside world in a great way. I look at Coach as, somewhat as like a father figure in a sense, because he's not just a coach. He's like a mentor, a big brother. He's like everything in the books whenever you need it.
Coach, I guess I'll give you the final word here. What's the message to the team as you head down the home stretch here, the regular season? What would a playoff victory mean to the program? I know you don't want to look ahead too far. You got business to take care of this Friday, but in a season of first conference championship, what's the limit for this team right now?
The sky. Long as we do what we supposed to do, I tell them, we come to work and we go play on Friday. We're gonna have some, some goals to meet. Just basically telling these guys, stay focused. Stay focused. Don't let nothing distract you. And once they do that, if they get laser focused, I done seen some good things out of these kids. So, first, not overlooking our game Friday night. We got Riverview East at West High. And then the following week, I guess we'll see who we play in the playoffs. So, and then, we'll just go from there. Just finish the job. Guys been working all summer. Let's just finish the job.
How much fun has this season been?
It's been really fun. We've had some ups and downs. We had some highs, had some lows. Had some obstacles to get over, but we got over them. And, that's the main thing, because, that's what these guys, kids have to do in life is get over all the obstacles, to help them be successful.
Coach Rob Rachel, along with junior running back and linebacker Brent Thompson and junior center and defensive lineman Desmond Davis. Really appreciate your time, your perspective. All the best to the Gators going forward. Well, the Gators are number 12 in the Division 5 Region 20 computer points standings and certainly looking to get that milestone first playoff victory after making the postseason for the first time in 2021. While speaking of a CMAC championship, the Withrow Tigers have clinched at least a share of the CMAC Red Division title. Now the Tigers are 6-3, have won 5 consecutive games, and they play host to 6-2 Hughes on Friday night. Can capture the first CMAC title outright since the 2013 season. And now I'm pleased to be joined by Withrow coach Kali Jones. And Coach, tell me a little bit about what you like most about the Tigers as you head into the regular season finale.
I really like how we're tightening up on some of the basic foundational things that we've been teaching since the spring. And so whether it be running inside zone correctly, 11 guys rallying to the ball, quarterback making the right reads, making sound decisions, Those are some things we really wanted to tighten up on this year. Or actually, over the last 3 or 4 weeks, we really wanted to tighten up on. We knew that this roster that we had this year was going to be an inexperienced one, but a talented one at the same time. And so that's why we scheduled heavy. We took some bumps and bruises, but we came out of that gauntlet scheduled 3-3, and been able to string some games together now, and playing some good football, some sound football, some disciplined football, and that's what's going to take to advance into Division II playoffs.
I know you told me this summer, obviously, we're not going to grow as a program if we play down a couple divisions, in our schedule. We want to toughen our schedule and be ready for the postseason. And you just alluded to that fact. I mean, obviously playing Springboro, Baden, and Akron Archbishop Hoban. What did you learn from those 3 games that really kind of maybe carried the team to this point? And maybe you can look back on that, maybe some adversity here and there, but it's really strengthened you in the end.
What I've learned, and what everybody has learned involved with Withrow football, is that we are talented enough to play with anybody. And so we one score away from beating, actually had the ball going in to score in the 4th quarter against Springboro. Same thing against Hamilton Baden. a few items here and there, some things we need to tighten up on. The game could have went a different way in both games. And then we learned against Hoban that the margin of error is smaller when you're playing an elite program. And so you can't squander off 5 or 6 minutes because they can go from 7-7 to 35-7 real fast. And so those were the necessary experience humps that we needed and that this particular group of Withrow Tigers needed to become better. And so we could be a better football program. And so we needed those high-level experiences. We needed those tight football games. We need to learn how to win in those tight situations. And so those are what we call necessary growing pains. And I don't run away from them. We're going to continue to face them. We're going to continue to schedule them because we have the plan of being an elite program in Cincinnati. And that's the only way you're going to get there.
How hungry is this group to win this CMAC title outright?
Very hungry, very hungry. We've had some young men that have started since their freshman year. I told them when they were freshmen they were going to be champions, and it's coming to fruition, and we're excited. We're excited. It's going to be a good time on Friday. We respect our opponent in Hughes. They are, I believe they're 7-2 right now.
6-2, yeah.
And 6-2. And so, Coach Engelman's done a great job with that football club. Record is the record. So we're excited to take on a new challenge and opportunity and to win this championship outright.
I know you have so many talented players. You mentioned the quarterback play just a second ago and wanted to kind of have you highlight senior quarterback Troy Montgomery a little bit and his development. What have you seen from his growth, maybe from even that season opener against Walnut Hills to right now in Week 10?
So he has really been a very coachable kid. He has really accepted the program. The first 3 or 4 weeks was more so playing at a higher level with a larger stage. And that's no disrespect to the last program he was at, but playing Springboro, Hoban, and Baden, that's a big time stage. And so he was able to gather a lot of information, really look at himself, look at the areas that he needs to get better at. And he has, I think over the last two games, he's had 7 touchdowns, no picks. So he's really coming on. He's really coming on, reacting faster. He's playing some good football. So I think that, just like it falls in line with the program, those necessary games were growth hurdles for him. Look at himself, look at some struggles, look at how we can get better, look at how we can get better against elite competition. And he's accepted that challenge, and he's doing pretty good right now.
You mentioned that elite competition. Was there a turning point for this team this season? Was there a conversation, maybe a moment before or after a game with a group of players that for you'll kind of harken back to and say, wow, this was the moment? Maybe it was a win over Taft at Sargel Stadium. Maybe it was another game or moment. Was there something telling for you, I guess?
Yeah, I'm going to say the win over Taft, because there were so many other variables connected to that game. Our motto this year has been Withrow controls Withrow, and we still stand on that. Because when we control ourselves and we are sound and disciplined, we are a tough out for any program. Okay, and so the Taft game was more of a mental hurdle. Just even though statistically over the last 2 years we've dominated them, there were just little things here and there where we just did not get over the hump, and we almost put ourselves in that situation against Taft down in Stargell, but we had some big plays and big playmakers come up at the end of the game to secure that victory. And so I would say, that was the turning point to just hitting another milestone. And we always say that, we had to slay the dragon when it came to Taft, because they hadn't lost a league game in 8 years. They were league champions for so long, and they've got some really good players down there. And Coach Tyler's been doing a good job with them, along with some of the other coaches in the past. And so we wanted to slay the dragon. And that was a big time turning point with us this year, with this particular group, And so they're ready to move forward and accept the challenge. And we really believe that we can make a run this year.
Obviously, we mentioned senior quarterback Troy Montgomery, and you mentioned some of the younger players that you have as well. And one player that I was very impressed with when I saw your game against Baden, obviously sophomore Quentin Simmons, just had an outstanding performance. Can you tell us a little bit about him? And I know he had a big time game, 6 catches, 97 yards and a touchdown, 50 yards rushing a week ago. What have you seen out of him?
Quentin Simmons, we call him Q. He is kind of like our Ted Ginn Jr. / Percy Harvin. Very, very talented, very fast. Could do a lot of things, and sometimes in the game, he does some things, and all the coaches are just looking at each other like, "You see that? You see that?" So he's really coming to his own. He's growing up a lot. He's had to hit some growing pains, and he's growing up literally and mentally. So he's now at like 6'2". His dad's like 6'5", and so we believe he's one of the elite talents in the area. But we have him and Ryan are both young. Deandre Williams, who secured the game-winning touchdown against Taft, he's young. He's coming back. We are the cupboard is full at Withrow, and we got a lot of talent coming in. But Quentin Simmons, he's doing really well. He just picked up another offer from West Virginia, I believe. Pitt was just in here, and Louisville and some other schools. So he's picking up steam. A lot of them are picking up a lot of steam right now.
How about your defensive line? Quintarius Jamison, 12.5 sacks, 4 fumble recoveries. Can you talk about that defensive line, how strong it's been for you?
He is a man. And so another kid, we wanted him to get used to playing on the big stage. He is really getting better with using his hands, matching his explosion with using his hands. And he is virtually like changed football games just by shutting down a side. So very impressed with him. Very happy with his progress, his approach to games week to week. His maturity level has grown so much in the last year. He's really doing a fine job. He's probably going to end up being the single season record holder with sacks, because I know he has 12.5, 13.5 is the record for the season. And so he's probably going to break that at some point. We would like to think so. Deandre Williams is the all-time sack leader at Withrow now, and he's been a 4-year starter, so he's been playing lights out. Wyland Gover just had a pick six last week. He's been playing lights out at the nose tackle. And then Ike, we call him Isaiah McConnell. He just picked up an offer from Kent State, Chattanooga, and Illinois State. And he's the other defensive end. He's playing really well, very explosive, 6'4" kid. We got a sophomore as well, Eric Gale, who's doing really well. He's coming along. He's going to be another name in Southwest Ohio. He's a 25. And so, they're playing really well down there.
Is there a little bit of competition? I remember Deandre Williams telling me this summer he wanted to be the all-time sack leader in school history. What's it like between those guys? Just when you have that sort of competition, I would think I don't know if you call it that on the defensive line, but I mean obviously a fierceness that it's great to have as a coach.
Yeah, they're a really competitive group. They're a really competitive group. I think DeAndre Rick actually broke the record last year in the all-time sack. He didn't have the single season. Him and Joshua Lapusa, who's at Miami right now, were tied for the single season sack record as well. But they approach the game. They have a really good coach in Pernell Phillips, who teaches them some really good stuff that they apply to the game. And they are competitive, fast, physical. They could really dominate and shape the game plan. And so having that type of dominant group up front is a blessing. It's a blessing. And just them competing in practice is a blessing as well. So it's fun to have those guys. It's fun to coach that group. And they're just getting better every week.
What's your message to the team as you head into Friday?
Enjoy this. Enjoy this week. Enjoy making history. Get used to making history. Capture this moment, live in the moment, and always remember that Withrow controls Withrow. As long as we control ourselves, success is in the forefront.
How much have you enjoyed coaching this group, just day to day?
I've been coaching really hard this year because the inexperience factor shows a different face every year. And so when you're dealing with, we lost 17 seniors last year, and I know what this group can be, but making sure that I keep my foot on them to get to that level is a challenge. And so, each senior group is different. Each roster is different. You have to be a chameleon when it comes to coaching. You can't just get stuck in your ways. You have to adapt. And so that has been the biggest challenge. But I have had fun. I just maybe after the playoffs, I'll look back and see how much fun it's been.
Obviously, Withrow is going to be a team to watch, certainly, as we approach the playoffs just a week from now. And, Coach, really appreciate your time and perspective, and all the best of luck to the Withrow Tigers going forward.
Thanks for having me.
Well, plenty of great things happening there for Withrow. I was able to visit practice this past summer, and this team is very, very hungry after toughening up its regular season schedule. Remember, they played Springboro, Baden, and Akron Archbishop Hoban early on in this season, so Coach Jones certainly has battle-tested his group as they get ready for the playoffs. This is a team I don't think you want to face in Division II, Region 8, to be all honest with you. A lot of talent and a lot of younger players, and that bodes well for next season as well, but it's all about getting through and making a deep postseason run after being a regional corner finalist just a year ago. But before I go any further in this episode, I want to remind you this High School Insider podcast is presented by our local Chick-fil-A restaurants, where the winning play is always chicken. Make sure you download the app today for easy ordering. While our WCPO game of the week is a pair of undefeated teams, hey, we only have a handful left in the whole greater Cincinnati region. 9-0 Wyoming taking on 9-0 Madeira. This is for the Cincinnati Hills League Championship. And hey, if you know anything about Cincinnati high school football, you know Wyoming has been a dominant team, a tradition-rich program there, and certainly going for their 7th consecutive CHL title. The Cowboys have won 66 regular season games in a row, believe it or not. But talking to Coach Madeira, coach at Madeira this week, Chris Stewart. He would love nothing more than to snap that winning streak and the Mustangs going for their first CHL title since the 2012 season. Had a chance to catch up with Coach Stewart this week and asked him what he's liked most about the way Madeira has persevered after being 4-7 one season ago.
Well, since you're having us on, we're doing pretty well. 9-0, and these kids have really, like we talked before, it started last December when these kids started working out in the weight room. They bought into the weight room, trying to stay healthy. And, 15 seniors, and they all are shooting for the same goal. They want to compete for a CHL championship and then make a run in the playoffs. And they've committed to doing that. They've listened and trust their coaches and trust the training that they've done over the course of the summer and the fall. And so far it's paid off.
And this is the first 9-0 record since the 2011 season. I mean, can you kind of put that in perspective? I mean, have you talked to your players a little bit about that? I know you don't want to kind of reflect on, hey, this is our success, but what's it been like?
Yeah, I mean, when we've gone through this week to week, I think it's only one of two schools to go this far and be undefeated for this long. So we embrace it. It's a great opportunity to go and create a legacy for this team that, people look back on and say, wow, that was a great football team, but also a great bunch of kids that, committed to the process of getting 1% better every day.
Can you tell us a little bit about your offense right now? Who's playing well for you?
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line, those guys up front, man, they do a fantastic job up front. They see different looks each week, and they're competitors. They're nasty guys on the field, but they're the nicest guys off the field. And, you got a tight end going to Akron and Connor Kravac. You got Aiden Migas. It's very infrequent that you take a 3-time CHL lineman and move him to tight end because of the way he committed to the weight room and changing his body. And then it allows people like Max Autry, a receiver, to get maybe singled up coverage or a little bit man-to-man coverage where we can exploit that. And the junior Peter Breidenbach throwing the football. He took his lumps and bumps last year as a sophomore, but that's gave him the experience this year as a junior to be very calm when the Friday night lights come on.
Defensively, I mean, what do you like most about the way you're playing right now? You got 3 shutouts on the season. I mean,
yeah, these kids just play for each other. They love each other. They truly love each other, and they want to be there. They're afraid to let each other down. I think that's the biggest thing. They're so committed to the game plan and understanding what they're doing each week because they don't want to be that guy that lets their other teammates down on the football field. And when that happens, when your best players are your hardest workers, then you really have a good chance to be successful.
What's it been like around the community in Madeira there? I mean,
it's awesome. You see, the youth programs. My son plays youth football, and all these kids are running around. They want to be on the sideline. The people want to be a part of the program. It just brings the community together because they have something to cheer for and talk about. And you see everyone at the games and living here in the community. People walking down the street, just wishing you luck every Friday, and how proud they are that they have a team representing their community like this. It's really, really fun.
Has there been a turning point for this team this season? I mean, did you expect this 9-0? I mean, I'm just kind of curious what your thoughts were going into this season.
Yes and no. I think that's you can look at different points of the season. Sure. In the summer, we knew how when the amount of work they did in the weight room, yes, there's always a fighting chance. But you got to go out in the field and play. And when we scrimmaged McNick this year, our second scrimmage right before week 1, we had some success against McNick. I thought we had a really, really good game. So you thought, okay, we got a chance to be pretty good. How good? I don't know, and we kind of just built off of it each week and got a little bit better. And it's led to this 9-0 record.
What about that Reading game? What did you?
That was the first, I guess, quote, big game that these kids have played in a while, and I think we were a little tight. I think we played with a little bit of anxiety. We shot ourselves in the foot sometimes, and they're also a very, very good team. And they've won some good games, and it was back and forth, and two communities that know each other well. And I think the cool part is we went down for a little bit in overtime, and then we played to win the game, and then we had a chance, an opportunity, and the kids executed the stuff that we practiced over the course of the season. And I think that's what they need to remember moving on, is that if you just do the things that you've been taught in practice, you'll have a chance to be successful.
Well, Coach, I don't need to remind you of these stats, but I'll rattle them off anyway. So Wyoming has 66 consecutive regular season victories, going for their 7th consecutive CHL title. They have a football player who rushed for 7 touchdowns last week and
13 in 2 weeks. Yes.
and about to join the OHSA record list for career rushing yards. All that being said, what is your message to your team as you look to Friday night?
You just got to go out and play and do the things that have got you here. I think sometimes when you get those big games, you worry about outcomes instead of just having one play and live that play like it has a life of its own. Mike, this is an unbelievable team we're going to play. You talked about those stats. The last 3 years, each playoff loss for them has been to the state champion. And then in 18, they're the ones that won it all. So you're talking 5 or 6 of their last losses are potential state champions and Final Four teams. So that this is an uphill battle for us because they're so good at, like you said, they have a Ohio Mr. Football candidates, on their roster. Their offensive line, unbelievable. They've given up 3 touchdowns on the entire year. So it's going to be a very, very uphill battle for our team this week. And the thing we have to do is make sure that we don't shoot ourselves in the foot and make mistakes on our side of the ball, control what we can control. The minute we start letting those things go, then could snowball into a place you don't want it to go to.
Is there something knowing that obviously you won't face each other in the playoffs? Obviously Madeira Division 5 program, Wyoming Division 4. Does that play into this at all? Whether you plan in a different way or more aggressive or less aggressive, that sort of thing?
No. To say, more aggressive. No, we want to go out every week and compete. We can control our attitude and our effort and what we know. And if we control those things, then, and we do a good job and a great job of practicing during the week, then on Friday night, we've got an opportunity to go compete and a chance to win the game. And, even if you do have a great week of practice, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to win the game, but you can walk off the field on Friday night knowing that you gave everything that you had, regardless of whether you won the game or you lost the game. I think that's what the kids need to understand is, did you do everything from Monday to Thursday to prepare yourself so that you can execute on Friday? And so if you walk off the field, you have no regrets when you walked off that field Friday night.
You mentioned the character of, in good standing academically and just in the community overall off the field for a lot of your players. What's the most rewarding part about being the head coach there, especially this program? I mean, it's easy to say when you're 9-0 and you walk around the community and people are patting you on the back and that sort of thing, but still there's got to be something beyond that.
So the whole vision of the program is to create leaders and men through the game of football, right? And then we want to allow kids to see things in themselves that they can't see yet. I could probably ask them, and maybe they'll lie to me and say yes, but when we were 4-6 last year at the end of the year and licking our wounds, to look at them and say, hey, you're going to be 9-0 competing for a CHL championship in week 10. Sure, they would have thought that was great, but did they truly believe it? I don't know, back in last November. So just helping these kids, whether it's on the football field, off the football field, and helping them become better people to allow them to see things that they haven't seen in themselves yet. I think that's the most rewarding part, when they finally realize who they're becoming as a person, not just a football player.
Madeira head coach Chris Stewart, always appreciate your time. Best of luck to the Mustangs.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate everything you do for high school football.
Well, as you could hear from Coach Stewart there, this will certainly be an uphill battle for the Mustangs as they get ready to take on Wyoming. But these teams won't face each other in the postseason. Obviously, Wyoming Division 4 program and Madeira Division 5. But, hey, this will be an outstanding victory for either side as they get ready for the playoffs next week. And, by the way, we're going to keep an eye on Wyoming senior tailback C.J. Hester, just 115 yards away from joining the OHSA's career rushing list. And the Western Michigan commit has scored 13 touchdowns the past 2 weeks, including a program record 7 rushing touchdowns last week in a 65-0 victory over Finneytown. So certainly C.J. Hester has to be mentioned among the Player of the Year candidates here in Greater Cincinnati and beyond. But plenty of other great games this week as we conclude the regular season. Believe it or not, how about, as I mentioned, that CMAC matchup there, 6-3 Withrow hosting 6-2 Hughes. Hughes trying to bounce back from that shutout loss to Taft and trying to capture a share of the division title with a victory. But Withrow certainly on a roll at 5 consecutive victories, and the Tigers are really peaking at the right time. How about let's go over to the pit there in the west side. 7-2 Elder going to play host to 2-7 LaSalle. LaSalle desperately needs a victory in order to try to be in the playoffs there in Division II, Region 8. Elder seems to be set there. They are in the top 3 right now as we look in Division I, Region 4. Let's go over to the GMC in Sharonville. 8-1 Princeton hosting 7-2 Mason. Right now, the Vikings are number 4 in Division I, Region 4, while the Comets are number 7. Both likely are to host first-round games. That's going to be a matchup to watch. And then how about Moeller? Just a 6-point loss to Lakewood St. Edwards last week, a matter of 2 field goals, really, in essence. But Moeller is 8-1. They're going to host Detroit Martin Luther King Jr. High School, and that's going to be at Shea Stadium in Norwood. MLK, if you're paying attention to this game, MLK has a quarterback in Dante Moore, rated the number 2 quarterback in the entire country by 247 Sports. He is going to go to Oregon and play his college football. So certainly a great test for the Crusaders, who've had a top 10 schedule nationally all season long, and they want to be clicking on all cylinders as they get ready for the playoffs and a likely deep postseason run as well. We'll have all the coverage for you this weekend. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Mike Dyer as we get ready for the playoff pairings announcement on Sunday by the OHSAA, and we will have all the bases covered and get you ready for the first round of the playoffs next week. Thanks again for watching and listening. I will talk to you next week.